If you can go on to your website, Home Affairs, there's a bulletin or a list of critical and scarce skills in the country, right? And this is worldwide. One of the biggest skill that is being sought after by the market is the skill of critical thinking.
Hello, hi. Welcome to the classroom. Please like, share, and definitely don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
In this video, we'll dive into topic 4 of your syllabus: Civil Resistance in South Africa from the 1970s to the 1980s. This video serves as an introduction to the topic. Understanding civil resistance. Firstly, what is civil resistance? Civil resistance is a form of political action where non-violent methods like strikes, boycotts, and mass protests are used by civil groups to challenge oppressive regimes or policies. When people wage civil resistance, they use tactics to withdraw their cooperation from an oppressive system. What was apartheid? Before we explore civil resistance, let's grasp what apartheid truly was. Apartheid was a systematic and oppressive racial segregation system enforced by the South African government from 1948 to the early 1990s. It aimed to institutionalize the racial superiority of whites and the subjugation of non-whites based on pseudoscientific racial theories. Nature of civil society. Resistance in the 1970s and 1980s. Civil society resistance during this period was multifaceted, involving a range of strategies from nonviolent protests to armed struggle. Resistance included student movements, labor strikes, community organizations, and cultural expressions of dissent. This period saw the rise of a more coordinated and broad-based opposition to apartheid, signaling a shift from isolated incidents of resistance to a sustained and widespread movement. Repression and control. As a result of state repression during the 1950s and 1960s, there was little protest against the apartheid regime in South Africa during the 1960s. The brutal apartheid regime, through harsh and oppressive legislation, was able to eliminate political resistance by banning and arresting the resistance leaders, driving many into exile and other crushing strategies. Key points of the repression. Key political figures were banned from public life. Nelson Mandela and other leaders were imprisoned. Trade unions continued to mobilize workers despite heavy surveillance. University students began to organize and protest against apartheid policies. Many activists were forced to continue their struggle from abroad. Homelands and control tactics. To maintain control and manage urbanization, the apartheid regime enforced policies like separate development and the creation of homelands, or Bantustans, which were any all-black enclaves formerly in the Republic of South Africa that had a limited degree of self-government. Basically, black South Africans were confined here. These homelands were meant to strip them of South African citizenship, despite being economically reliant on urban areas. This policy led to widespread poverty and forced migration, as many were forced to live in illegal, overcrowded settlements near cities. Resistance emerges. Despite these suppressive measures, the late 1960s and early 1970s witnessed a resurgence of resistance. A new generation of black students, disillusioned with systemic oppression, embraced the philosophy of black consciousness. Black consciousness movement. Led by figures like Steve Biko, the Black Consciousness Movement, BCM aimed to empower black South Africans psychologically and politically. It rejected the label of non-white imposed by apartheid and sought to unify all oppressed groups under the term black. The movement emphasized pride in black identity, self-reliance, and the mobilization of black communities against apartheid's divisive policies. Impact and legacy. The BCM not only revitalized the struggle against apartheid, but also influenced a new wave of resistance that challenged the regime from within. Steve Biko's leadership and articulate advocacy became a focal point, inspiring many to reject apartheid's ideology of racial inferiority. International perspective. Internationally, apartheid faced increasing scrutiny and condemnation. Global movements, including boycotts and sanctions, put pressure on South Africa to dismantle apartheid and release political prisoners like Nelson Mandela. In conclusion, the 1970s and 1980s were a critical period in South Africa's history, marked by intensified resistance against apartheid. The BCM's philosophy of black consciousness played a crucial role in galvanizing opposition and fostering a unified front against apartheid's injustices. Stay tuned for Part 2, where we'll delve deeper into the strategies and impact of civil resistance during this transformative era. Thank you for watching. I hope that you learned something new. Please consider supporting the classroom by heading to our Zapper or SnapScan link below to donate a small amount of your choosing to help us create more content from more subjects. Please share the video with a friend and don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us out.